Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bordertown Strange. I'm Pam. This is my co-host, Jess. And
What up?
tonight, you threw me with that. Tonight, we're diving into ghosts in photography. Now, before we jump in, we do want to welcome everyone in the chats. And hang on just a second. Before we jump in, we want to welcome everyone joining us tonight, whether you're a longtime listener or a brand new subscriber, or hanging out in the chat for the very first time. And if you're catching this on replay, thank you for being here and welcome to the Bordertown crew. From the earliest days of the camera, people have been trying to capture the impossible. We've got Victorian spirit photographers, double exposure, accidental apparitions, and then the modern images that still make investigators pause and say, okay, what the hell was that? Tonight, we're going to be walking you through some of the most famous ghost photos ever taken and the stories behind them and why they mattered so much to early paranormal culture. And then we're bringing it home with a few Bordertown paranormal investigation photos. Some of these images have explanations, some don't. And that's where things get interesting. So, but before we get started, Jess, do you have some housekeeping to do?
Yep, just the usual. Like Pam said, thank you so much to old and new subscribers. If you're hanging out on YouTube right now, take a second, give us that thumbs up, hit that bell, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're hanging out on Facebook, go ahead and give us a share and a like, and head on over to our page if you haven't followed yet. We would appreciate that so much. And of course, you can also listen in wherever you get your podcasts. So if you're hanging out listening on a podcast platform right now, go ahead and give us a ranking. That would be awesome. We would appreciate that so much. Also, remember to send in your show ideas or your favorite topics or even your own stories. We would love to tell those for you or maybe even have you on if you would like. We have Bordertown Paracon coming up August 8th. If you didn't already know, we are slowly starting to get information together on that. A schedule is just getting ready to be put out. We're kind of putting the finishing touches on it right now, and that will be out within the next couple of weeks. If you want to check out more of that, follow us on our Facebook page at S.E.K Bordertown Paranormal Society, or check out our website, which is www.bordertownparanormal.com. And you can also find links to all of our social media and this page here on that website.
Yep.
Yay! Oh, I did that really well.
You did.
Yay,
I'm like
Jess.
totally impressed. Good job.
Yeah.
Way better
Thank
than
you
I
very much. Probably, I will say, so I see the N is in the chats. I'm just going to give you a heads up. There's a lot of like England, European, Britain type areas. So we're going to talk about tonight. So if we say anything wrong, we pre-apologize. You know, get your shots ready.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Get ready to drink because it's a coming.
Yeah. You guys have a lot of ghosts in your area. We're going to talk about a little bit of them.
That's so funny. Okay, so at the start of every episode, we like to kick things off with a little segment we call What the Weird Word. And this is where we pull a good grief. Pull a term from the paranormal world. Something you might have heard but didn't really have a definition for. And we're going to break it down so everyone's on the same page. And tonight we actually have two weird words. Pop those up here. They are, first off, is pareidolia. And pareidolia is from the Greek word para, which means alongside, and eidolon, which is form, shape, or apparition. It was first named by Kalbaum, a 19th century German physician who described the concept as false perceptions, illusions, or delusions of judgment. And it is the tendency to perceive a specific, often meaningful image in a random or ambiguous visual pattern. And then we have spirit photography, which is a historical photographic practice in which images were believed to capture the presence of spirits, ghosts, or other supernatural entities, often appearing as translucent figures, floating faces, or misty forms within the photograph. Originating in the mid-19th century alongside the rise of spiritualism, spirit photography blended emerging photographic technology with cultural fascination for communication with the dead. While many early examples were later exposed as double exposures, composite negatives, or darkroom manipulations, the genre remains significant for what it reveals about belief, grief, and the human desire to connect beyond death. So, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get all into that messiness. But I think before we get into it, I think we want to show a photo or two from our last weekend.
I have
We had
one.
a
I didn't
Oh,
grab a
she has one. We had a blast. So, our group got to attend the Odd Oklahoma Festival in Enid, Oklahoma. And that evening, they hosted Greg and Dana Newkirk of the Haunted Objects podcast live to come in, and they put on their show, which Pam and I and our friend Jennifer, who's also on the team, have actually seen before, but we saw it minus Dana because she was actually sick at the time. So we kind of took the opportunity with it being so close by to go and visit, and we actually got a little bit of time to visit with them afterwards.
Yep.
And Pam got to show off her leg.
I did, and it was so fun. So they knew I was coming, and they knew I had this leg, and they absolutely loved it. They came barreling out from behind to tell us hi, give us hugs, and check out the leg. And I was like, okay, you can hold it if it won't weird you out. And Greg's like, I love weird. So I handed it to him, and they were all like, yes. He acted like he was drinking out of it. It was hilarious. So
yeah, she did not give that story justice. So she's sitting there, and they've already taken lots of photos with her, and she was like, do you want to take a photo with just the leg? And they were like, do we? And she popped that thing right off and just chucked it at them. And they were like, oh my God. And then sit there and took pictures with it. It was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
it was fun. They loved it, though. So we
I kind of wish Mark had been there, because he would have been like, oh, Pam.
he told him, or we told him that we would haunt it. And because I was like, when I'm through with it, sockets are good, hopefully for 2 to 3 years, but this one may not be that long because of the situation. I told him, if you want it, I'll send it to you. And they were like, yeah. And Greg's like, haunt it first, though.
We totally can.
We will. Absolutely. Maybe we can make it a whole thing and get everybody involved. That would be
That would be cool.
Oh my gosh. That would be so fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was our fun time.
Yeah. That was also the end of that particular tour, but I'm sure within the next few years or so, they'll probably start up with something new. Plus, they also travel occasionally with their Haunted Objects Museum. So if you ever get the chance to go and see them, whatever area you're in, go check them out. They're hilarious and fun and super smart.
They are. They are. I had told them one time, I thought, I appreciated the fact that they are at the forefront of where I feel paranormal investigation is. And they're like, oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, I do know about that. They are. They are very innovative, and they've got some really fresh ideas. And it's really cool to see it. Yeah. Enzo said that leg may get exposed to all kinds of weird by the time you trade it in. No joke. Enzo was there with us, too.
Yeah.
So it was fun. He got to meet him.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. We were all, I was like, I'm going to be riding that high for a little bit because it was fun. It's fun when you meet people that you really appreciate their work. So,
yeah.
'Twas a good time.
'Twas. All right. So let's get started. So Pam and I have been perusing ghost photos and all sorts of stuff the last couple of weeks now. And it's looking as though this may be a two-parter. It most likely is. There is just so many to choose from. You want to see a ghost photo, just type that in on the internet and you'll be on there for days. Some of them fake, some of them may be real. I don't know.
Pam even had a super fan experience. I did. That was hilarious. There's a big Discord. Sorry, I'm going back to this. There's a big Discord for the museum of the paranormal, which is what the Newkirks have. And I'm in it. I don't know how many. There's a couple thousand people in there at least. And so this guy walks by, and then he comes back and he goes, "Are you Pam?" I was like, "Yeah." Did you bring your leg? Did you get it? Because there was a question whether I was going to have it in time. And I was like, "Yeah, you want to see it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And Enzo took a hilarious picture. I'm looking at Enzo like, what the hell is happening?
Yes.
It's
And
fun.
then I was sitting by Enzo, and he promptly showed it to me, and he went, "Look, it's Pam's one fan."
That's hilarious. Too freaking funny.
Yeah,
It was pretty humorous.
yeah. It was a
Good time.
fun weekend.
It was a fun weekend. Okay,
All
moving
right,
on.
anywho. Okay, back to ghost photography. So, you will not find a shortage of it anywhere. It's very exciting. A lot of it is very fake. Over the next two shows, we're going to try to help you guys weed out what is and isn't to the best of our abilities. Of course, we're not complete experts. We can't say whether something's completely real or not, but we can kind of weed out some of the obvious ones for you. But what we're going to do is we've broken it up into kind of a few parts, and we're going to start out with actual spirit photography. There's two kinds of photography we're talking about here. Spirit photography, as in, back where what Pam was reading off here for our word of the week, really dates back to the spiritualism of the Victorian era, where families were feeling comfort from these after their loved ones had been deceased. It was kind of evidence for the afterlife. It was a whole movement, as you probably well know. And of course, this started to taper off in the 1920s or so, when they started kind of, calling out hoaxes, and even Houdini got in on the act and was like, "I'm going to prove you wrong." So these particular ones were really made completely falsely, but being marketed as absolutely real. And we're going to go over a handful of like the more important players in that type of photography coming up here in a minute. And then after we're done with that, then we're going to move over to actual like ghosts caught in photography, where hopefully the ones we pulled for you weren't purposefully made. I did throw a couple of them in there so I could kind of show you how realistic some of these look that were later proved to be fake.
Yeah.
So some of those are in there. It's kind of interesting, but I really had to bring in some of the really early like spiritualism type photos, because some of them are absolutely hilarious.
They are.
Yeah. And just to prove it to you, and I forgot to give it to Pam to throw up here, but if you go and you take a look at our advertisement for this particular show on our Facebook page, our big flyer that runs the week leading up to our shows, the ghost photo that you see there of the older gentleman and the younger girl ghost beside him is literally one I did in about a minute's time on my Adobe Photoshop. And it turned out it looks like one from way back when. So I was actually pretty proud of myself. I was like, wow, that was way too easy.
Yeah. A little scary. And you can look around online too, and there's websites that are dedicated to how to create spirit photography. Ian.
Oh no.
Yeah. Don't even read it.
It's too late. It's too late.
Lord. Okay.
Okay.
So
So yeah. If you want to, go ahead and pull up the first one.
okay.
So just a little, I'm just going to give you a little quick overview of the history of photography so you can kind of get an idea of how some of these were faked or done. So 1839-ish was kind of the beginnings of like real bulk photography. You've got the daguerreotypes, which, printed to one plate. So they couldn't have multiple exposures, but they had to sit for extraordinarily long amounts of time, and it was really easy to send someone into the photo and then back out of the photo real fast. Perfect ghost print. Smears and fun whoozy whatsits that they could call a ghost. Yeah. And then you move into the mid to later 1850s, and then you've got the glass plate process starting up, where they could introduce multiple plates one on top of the other and literally kind of produce just about any kind of fantastic thing that you wanted inside of there. And those glass plates were really easy to hide sometimes too, and put in at the last part of the process. So some of these people got away with it for quite a while, even when people were trying to eagle eye them, trying to keep them from doing it.
If I remember correctly, that first one is Mary Todd Lincoln, and that's Abraham Lincoln. That's the ghost is supposedly behind her. If I remember correctly, didn't she say after this was produced that she actually felt the hands of her husband on her shoulder?
She did.
Yeah.
So
that was
yeah,
definitely
okay.
somebody sneaking in.
Yeah. So the two pictures we're talking about here that's in front of you, and if you're listening, we'll try to kind of explain them as we go. There's two photos sitting up here taken by William Mumler. He was really kind of the first to really get in there and mess with this stuff and really start making some money off of it. And as Pam said, unfortunately, Mary Todd Lincoln also fell for his ridiculousness too. However, Mary Todd Lincoln was very much into spiritualism and really believed that, the ghosts of our loved ones were all around us and were always trying to speak to us and show us signs. And she was sure that all these loved ones were around her. So it was very easy for her to feed into this. On these photos, you see the sitters, and then you see kind of a whitish ghost apparition of their loved ones right behind them. And, this was actually done by him taking photos very quickly of a picture of their loved ones and then having them sit. Yeah. And it caused this kind of overexposure type of situation. So the very first photo he fully published was the Mary Todd Lincoln one. It happened in 1862, if anybody's interested. The second photo there is of an unknown sitter, but you can really get a good idea of what this guy would do. These shysters would literally ask for photos of your loved ones that you wanted to sit and see if they would come and visit with you first, just solely so that they could make copies.
Absolutely, yeah. And Julie said, wasn't the man who did this known for fake ghost pictures? Yes, he was. Not at the time, but later he got that moniker for sure.
Yeah. Mumler put out tons. If you just look up Mumler on the internet, it will garner you many of these photos, and some of them are hilarious. I grabbed the Mary Todd Lincoln because that's one of his most famous, and then the second one here because the girl behind it is very, very clear. Yeah. I thought it was a good one to show, but there's a lot of them. There's some pretty funny ones too.
There's some humorous. We have at least one humorous one in here. This is one that I threw in. It's a very good example of when he would pull actual photos of loved ones and add it to the picture. You can tell, I'm sure that somewhere out there are exact duplicates of these photos that he taken prior.
Yeah. Enzo says, oh yes, this falls under the fakety fake class of pictures.
Boy, does it.
Yes.
Too funny.
Yeah. So this is Frederick Hudson, yet another shysterson that came through and made his way. So he was actually from Britain, and he started kind of in 1872-ish doing what he did. He often used a trick camera that when used would push a paper ghost against the plate. So he literally just made a paper-shaped ghost and would push it up against the plate at the last minute to get its ghostly look. That's why they kind of look papery, frankly. Yeah.
They have instead of having those faded edges and things that you would expect a translucent ghost to have, these are very crisp edges.
Yeah. He also was one of the ones that pioneered, that's a horrible thing to say, but he pioneered ghost photography when they started using plates, and he could double, triple plate and add whatever he wanted. And he also got a little lazy sometimes and would just use a person stand-in dressed as a ghost.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah. He actually got called out later on and arrested for what he was doing. So I guess his photos were worth quite a bit of money. So
And I mean, we can look at these and 100% be like, oh, yeah, this is totally fake. How could they not tell? They couldn't tell a lot of times. And if they could tell, they didn't want to know.
yeah.
Grief is a very funny thing. And a lot of these photos were very comforting to the families.
Yes. Now the first one is an unknown subject, but I put the second one in because here we have yet again where someone very important has been duped. The gentleman sitting here with what almost looks like an old lady baby being cradled in his arms is none other than Alfred Russel Wallace, who came up with the evolution through natural selection. That
Yeah.
he's the rightee on that theory. And that is his dead mother. And
All
pretty
righty.
much what he did was he created a paper ghost with her face cut out pressed onto it. So it was literally like a little paper cutout with her face pasted in the middle of it. And then he shoved it up against the glass.
Old lady baby.
Lady baby.
Ian said photography was a science back then. The average plebe wouldn't understand it. That's true. That's a very good point. Ian's a photographer too, so
Yeah.
he knows that for sure.
Oh, did you see what Julie said?
Such a great picture. Can't believe it's not real. Yeah, right?
Truth.
It's just
Yeah.
fabulous. Too funny.
All right, so here's yet another one in the long line. This is Edward Bouguet, and he would actually he would wrap dolls in gauze and attach photos of their faces to them. That's how he did this.
Honestly,
And
it's
these
better
are
than the other ones.
kind of. I
I
don't
mean, the
know.
gods is anyway.
I find like I picked out two examples that were super clear. Plus, he was very famous for the one in the car. It was really one of the first times where one had been taken in kind of an outdoors setting in a vehicle. Also, very weird. But if you go and you look a lot more of his photos, I mean, you can actually see it here, especially the first one. The faces tended to be the wrong size for the gauze dolls and stuff that he created. And it just looked god awful.
It definitely doesn't match the flowy iridescence, or not even that, just the see-through,
Yeah.
of the gauze. It's a very stark face. Enzo said, "True, photography on its own was almost paranormal back then." Yeah,
That's true. There was a lot of people that didn't want to have anything to do with photography when it really first started coming out because they thought it was the work of the devil.
yeah, yeah.
Same thing with movies. There was a lot of people who wouldn't go and see moving pictures because they thought it was the work of Satan.
hmm Ian said it was also a rich person's pastime. You needed money to be a photographer. Yeah,
That's true. It wasn't until the late 1800s, early 1900s that they started making cameras that were a little bit more affordable for the common man. And even then, they were pretty expensive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even when my dad was young, they were very poor, and that's why I'm shocked that they have so many photos, family photos. They had a camera and somehow managed to purchase film and have it, you know, made off into pictures too, because they have tons and tons of pictures. But yeah, I'm shocked.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We threw this one in because it's absolutely hilarious. They were definitely posing. It's two gentlemen trying to jump over a fence, looking very frightened at what is a woman in a gown, almost looks like a nun's habit, honestly.
Yeah.
That is see through. So they're trying to run away from, and there's a upturned basket there. So looks like maybe she interrupted their picnic or something.
So yeah, some of these photos are fantastic. If you're bored one day, just go have a little gander for 5 minutes. You won't regret it.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole worth going down for sure.
Yeah.
All right, then moving on to these.
Okay. Yeah, so here is something really interesting. Was taken by Sybil Corbet, and this is a very famous photo. I'm sure you've most likely seen it before, or maybe didn't even know what it was, but you've seen it. This was taken at the Library of Combermore Abbey in Cheshire, England. And it appears to be the outline of a man's head and arm, believed at the time to be the ghost of Lord Combermere, who had passed away and whose funeral was supposedly happening at the exact same time the photo was taken. Now, I don't know if that's all honest or not. Maybe it is. Later, it was revealed that it was an hour-long exposure and that servants had also been moving in and out of the room. So,
Yeah.
kind of take it with a grain of salt. That does kind of... I've always thought this photo was a little weird because it's so hazy. Like, there's like wishy, hazy movements going through the whole photo. And that makes sense. If there were servants walking in and out, they would have caught that light as they walked through. And it would have kind of created that hazy kind of motion to the picture. However, I don't know if any of the servants actually looked like the Lord, what's his name? Combermere.
And
this does look like him sitting there.
it does, and they're smartly dressed too. So of course they were servants, so they would have been. But yeah, it's interesting in that aspect. But I mean, it could have been somebody having a laugh too, and just putting on his suit and shirt, collar, and having a quick sit down and then zipping out of there, which is probably 99.9% accurate of what happened.
I do think it's odd that he is sitting so low in the chair. If you consider the proportions of a man, it doesn't seem like there's enough room between his waist and the seat for his backside and his legs. It's just one of the weird things that I think about this photo.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, could you imagine it taking an hour to take a photo? Holy cow.
No wonder they didn't smile in their pictures, your jaws would be aching by the time, your muscles in your face would die before
It's like they said in the 1,000 Ways to Die in the West movie, you would look absolutely insane if you tried to smile that long. Could you imagine like how forced and freaky your smile would look after a while?
What if you got a cramp? Yeah, and you do, in some of the photos, you will see, especially with the children, you'll see that their head looks like a blur, and it's because they just couldn't hold still and they had to look around.
Yeah.
Blurred their features.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of them, too, where there's a blur around their feet, and you find out later it's because they tried to have their dog sit for the picture, too, and it just didn't happen.
It is a huge chair, Julie. Ian said it's more of a throne than a chair. It is. It's good. And Enzo said probably vibrating the floor as they walk by, causing a blur for that long of an exposure. Could be, yeah. Too funny. I keep losing it's not showing me my next.
There you go. You got it. Okay, William Hope. Holy cow. This dude was fun. Now, his pictures, I think, are actually the most interesting looking. Even though they look faked, they have kind of an artistry to them that I kind of love. I don't know why. He didn't even start out as a photographer. He was actually a carpenter. Was having a hard time kind of getting by with his carpentry work and was like, hey, maybe I should take up this photography stuff. And apparently he stuck right to it. He became so popular, he was famous inside of paranormal circles, these big Victorian groups that would start up. He was like the toast of the town with these people. Unfortunately, the higher you go, the further you fall. And he, not too long into his popularity, got found out and was promptly arrested. Oh my goodness. Got practically sued for like all the money had been taken from these very wealthy families who had been employing him to take these ghost photos for them. He got caught using double and triple exposures, hidden second plates, and was ultimately the way he got caught was by a gentleman by name of Edward Bush, who actually sent him a photo of a living person, not anyone, a loved one, and not even passed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Told him that it was a picture of his late son, which it wasn't. And then later did his sitting with hope, because this is what we said. This is how they would do that. You would give them your loved one's photo, and then a couple weeks later you would sit with them. So he did the sitting with him, and he got the photo back, and here's this picture of this very much alive guy who was not any relation to him. So, yeah. And he was suddenly imposed, with this Bush guy on there, and he was like, hey, brought the live guy with him, and he was like, how do you explain this? So dude got arrested. I picked out 2 of his more famous photos. If you study these for just a tiny bit and then you go online and look, you'll be able to tell William Hope photos without going and looking. They're very artsy. In fact, the second one here on your screen is one of his most famous ones, and in fact, if you just scroll around on the internet or you look in haunted books and stuff like that, there's almost always a picture of her. She's like the Winona Ryder of the late 1800s.
That is hilarious. I love it. Very cool.
Yes. All right. So we're going to get out of the spirituality movement. Like I said, in the very late 1800s, early 1900s, cameras started becoming more accessible to the general public. They started out very expensive, but by the 1920-ish time or so, they started really coming out with the little Kodak brownies and stuff like that, which were completely accessible to just about every, maybe not the poorer people, but average, middle class people. And so photography really started taking off. Now, from all of these pictures here on out, we've not put them in any type of order for date. So we're going to see some really new ones. We're going to see some mid-century ones. We're going to see some ones from the 1920s. They're all just kind of thrown in together. But I tried to get the storylines put together with all of these. And as we go, I have credited the photos wherever I can. I think there's only 1 or 2 photos on here that I could not find the original source for. If you watch this and you are the original source of that photo, please let us know so that we can credit you properly, or take it down if you don't want it on here. Mm-hmm. I'm just putting that out.
This one I was going to tell you, this was actually shot by a member of their team. His name was Gene Campbell. Mm-hmm. But it is part of Ed and Lorraine's team.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's part of their collection, so they have the rights to it. Yeah, unfortunately, some people have the rights to it when it wasn't the original photographer, which stinks. But it is what it is. So everybody should know this story. If you don't, maybe you don't know the photo, but you'll know the story. This is the famous Amityville Horror House. Da-da-da. One of our favorites to talk about. Pam loves the pig, because the Haunted Objects podcast loves the pig.
Or everybody digs on Jody the pig, but who was watching the kids? It was Jody. Who was keeping the kids safe? It was Jody. Who's
Free
the best babysitter? It was Jody.
She was a mighty swine babysitter. Get it? Okay, that was bad.
That was bad.
I tried. Okay, so this particular photo was taken in 1976, and if you don't know the backstory of the Amityville house, and I can't believe that you don't, but I will say it anyway. So the house actually became famous for the DeFeo murders that happened 1975-ish, I believe. Yeah, October 14th, 1975. So I wrote it down here so I could get all the stuff right. The DeFeo murders occurred, on around 3 a.m. November 15th, 1974. Ronald DeFeo used a .35 caliber rifle to shoot and kill his family. His parents, Ronald and Louise, both 43, 4 siblings: Dawn, who was 18, Allison, who was 13, Mark, who was 12, and John. John, they think, is this particular ghost that we are looking at now. Ronald DeFeo was tried and convicted on October 14th, 1975, and found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 6 sentences of 25 years to life, and he actually died back in, 2021, just so you know. However, this particular photo here has become extraordinarily famous. Claims were that the Warrens were actually in the house at this time, and like Pam said, it was taken by one of their team who was going around the house literally just taking stock photos of the house so they could kind of see the layout of it. And this little dude just happened to pop up in one of the doorways. It looks like he's kind of peeking up over the banister. And by the looks of him, he would probably be around 9-ish. And it's obviously a boy from the haircut. So they do believe that it was probably John DeFeo, the youngest.
Now, there are some investigators, they believe that the ghost boy is actually a guy named Paul Bartz that was a member of the Warren team, and that he was trying to stay out of the camera shot at the time, and he was on his hands and knees. And, it was with an infrared camera, so, that's why his eyes are reflected like they are.
Maybe, but I've always thought that this looks like a child, and I've seen pictures of the other guy, and it doesn't really match up for me. But who knows? I wasn't there.
I'm more of the camp that it's probably the guy. So I don't know.
See? Both sides of the table. You never know what you're looking at.
Wasn't it? Ian said, wasn't it the Warren's publicist? I'm not sure. He was a member of the team. I'm not sure if he was the publicist. Could have been. I'm not sure what his role was.
Yeah. Regardless, spooky ass photo.
It is a spooky photo, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is rather creepy. This is making me mad. I don't know why it's not showing me the next page. There it is down there. Okay. There we go.
So, the Cooper hanging ghost. Okay, so this one I know you've seen. Even if you don't know the story behind it, you have seen this photo. Holy cow. Creepier than heck. This thing haunts my nightmares. However, I'm just going to read you. So let's start out with the story of it, and then we'll troop right on through. So this was taken in the 1950s in Texas. It was taken by the Cooper family. They had literally just bought it was new to them, an old home, and had moved in. And this was their this guy's. It was the father who was taking this photo. He took a photo of his wife and his wife's mother holding their 2 boys at their new dining room table. You can see the little candles are set up there for a meal. They were having their first meal in their new house. Took the photo, and then later on when they had it developed, that thing showed up.
Maybe they were cannibals and they were cooking him over the candles.
Over the candles?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
Creepier. Yeah, super creepy. This thing has run the entire internet. It's in every ghost book. If you look up most famous ghost photos, like the top 10s, it's always in there.
Enzo said Admiral Akbar fell off the balcony.
He sure did. And burnt his toupee on a candle.
That's why he's flailing. See how his arms are moving?
Yep.
That's funny.
Got him on the spit. Yeah. So, one of the most famous photos ever. Go look it up. Top 10. It'll probably be in there. I can almost guarantee it. The Cooper hanging ghost. So, there's actually a little bit more to this story, and this is one of the reasons why I absolutely wanted to put this one in here. Not only is this one of the most famous ones almost ever put out, it's also one of the fakest. Unfortunately. So, in 2013, so not that long ago, supposedly the actual family whose picture this belonged to came forward. It was actually one of the 2 boys that you see sitting there. It was actually the younger of the 2 you see sitting on the right side there with the mom. He said he absolutely recognized his photo, but his name wasn't even Cooper. Their names were Copper.
Oh, whoop.
And that the photo had obviously been tampered with because that hanging person had not been in it all the years that he remembered growing up seeing that photo as he grew up. He was like, that wasn't even there. Someone has tampered with this old picture. They've gotten a hold of it somehow and they tampered with it.
Yeah.
And he actually put like a mad call out online saying, you know, if somebody will tell me who the hell perpetrated this, I'm gonna prosecute. I can't believe that they would do this to my family photo. And started a firestorm on the internet. There were sleuths out trying to hunt down the origins of this photo. So this is going on. And in this last year, 2025, Copper came forward again to completely clear the air and kind of laugh at everybody. He told everyone, okay, I may have taken this too far. I am the boy in the photo, but my name is Richard Ramsdell. And I'm a photo artist.
Yep.
He said he had created the photo in 1981 and had used some old family photos. This is actually, if anyone had cared to really sleuth it correctly, well, I guess if they'd known his name, they would have seen copies of it in the coffee table books that he's put out of his art. It's actually in there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he wanted some photos to mess with, so he just pulled out some of his old family photos and was messing with them, and this is one of them that he came up with.
Linzo said, that's really odd. Why would someone do that? Because apparently he was bored. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we're going to get the explanation. So, he said he had actually never attached the crazy haunting story. Someone else had just kind of made that up along the way, but he let it stick because he thought it was pretty amusing to go along with it. And then when he said he was going to tell the truth, but then he was having so much fun with it, he decided to change his name to Copper and let it play out a little bit further and see how far the internet would take it. He said he really couldn't help himself, and him and his pals at the pub had many a nights of great fun watching the firestorm happen on the internet.
And so you're right. It is unsettling to look at. And that's one of the reasons why this photograph still works. It taps into like a primal fear that we all have, that there's, something that's just lurking right outside of our awareness kind of thing. And it just happened to have gotten caught on film.
Yeah.
It's a hoax, but it did become a modern urban legend. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It has its own weird stuff attached to it. Like, there was actually like a watchdog group that really tried to pick this thing apart a number of years ago, and they were claiming that it was an upside down photo of a very famous ballerina because of her arms. But if you have anything to do with ballet, I mean, I never did ballet, but my daughter did it for years, and that is not the position their hands are in.
Yeah.
And the artist himself would never say what it was that he used to make that secondary person in there. So I don't know. It's still creepy as heck to me.
He did a good job. I mean, it's not like stark outlines, like it's a obvious overlay or anything like that. So yeah, cool.
Yay.
Interesting.
Before we get too far, I think you skipped one.
I think I did too. The brown lady?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back and do the brown lady.
Because there she is right there. I thought I did too. That's why I was like, wait, did I miss one?
Yeah, that's okay. The brown lady. So super duper duper famous. I wanted to do it before we got too far away from that kind of time period too much. So this was taken September 19th, 1936, and the reason why we have an exact date on it is because there was actually a published group that was there at Rainham Hall, that's where this was taken, in Norfolk, to get photos of the entire home. because it was going to be part of their write-up for that month. There was actually 2 photographers there taking shots all over the house. So this one literally just popped up completely by accident.
Yeah.
It's believed to be the ghost of Lady Dorothy Walpole, the mistress of the manor from the 18th century. Her story, Lady Dorothy had an unhappy marriage to the second Viscount Townsend, who was very unfaithful, unfortunately. And she also died under mysterious circumstances. So her death is a little bit mysterious too, although I can't imagine.
She was,
might have been.
Townsend actually imprisoned her in the hall because he discovered she had a past romance with someone else. And she died. When she died, she was isolated there. And it's possibly from smallpox, possibly from neglect. I would assume probably more likely from neglect.
Yeah.
That sucks.
This particular ghost pops up all the time. She has a lot of documented sightings. The earliest one that I could find was in 1835. A visitor named Madge Loftus said he saw a shadowy woman in an old-fashioned brown dress with hollow sockets for eyes. It's kind of how she took on her name, the Brown Lady, because of her brown dress that she had on. In 1936, Captain Frederick Marriott, a friend of Charles Dickens, fired his pistol at the ghost, leaving a bullet lodged in the door frame behind her, which is still there. You can still see the bullet. And it's stuck in the door. Did you imagine being so scared you just shoot your gun at it? I'm sure she was like, "Sir, how rude."
Excuse me.
Yeah. And then another really big one in 1905, Gladys Suthurst, a lady of the home and wife of John VI Marquis Townsend, so on down the line, and her son and friend claimed to have suddenly met the lady on the staircase, who frightened and puzzled them because you could see the staircase right through her.
Yeah.
I thought it was just kind of a funny way to put it.
This has always been one of my favorites. And, back when Scholastic had the things that were handed out every month where you could order books in your classroom, I had ordered one, and I can't remember the name of it. It was probably just Ghosts or something like that. But this was on the cover of the book that I had, and I absolutely loved it. It's my favorite story. One of the very first interesting old photos that I had seen that I, back when I was 9 or 10 and was like,
I can't get the ring out of it.
Or, But,
this is Troy Taylor, Ghosts on Film. She's on the front of it. You can find her everywhere.
Yeah, she's actually, I have Brad Steiger's Real Ghosts, Restless Spirits, and Haunted Places, and she's on there too.
Yep. She's not on the front of this one, but she's in the Ghosts Caught on Film by Dr. Melvin Willen.
Cool.
And Paranormal Caught on Film.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty famous one, and it's never been debunked. Specifically because of the guys that were there taking the photo. The fact that they were trying to photograph the entire house and the staircase at that time. And it was Captain Hubert Provend and Andre Shira? I don't know. They were shooting for Country Life magazine.
Yeah.
While setting up a second shot of the staircase, Shira saw a misty figure and he shouted. Provend snapped the photo, and there she was.
Yep. Pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's one of my favorite all-time oldie photos. Enzo, Charles Dickens shot at ghosts. A Christmas Carol could have been an action movie.
Yeah. And then In said Die Hard, A Christmas Carol. Nice. Nice, boys. Nice.
Very good. All right. Yeah. Brown Lady. She's one of the best. So
yeah.
Glad we got back to her. Okay.
All right. This one I have always loved because I think the picture is set up so well. However, I am wondering, I've always wondered if this was a double exposure. Accidental.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and you guys can make the decision for yourself. This one is also extraordinarily famous in the top 10. If you go and look.
Yeah.
So this one is the Andrews Grave Baby. It was taken in 1945 in Australia. It was taken by Mary Elizabeth Calhoun. She had taken the photo of the grave of her recently deceased daughter, Joyce Elizabeth Andrews, who was 17 when she passed. She took several shots that day, but one had an unknown baby shown sitting on Joyce's grave. No one could recognize the ghost child, and it looked nothing like Joyce when she was an infant herself.
Mhm.
So why would this baby be sitting on her 17-year-old daughter's grave? The thing that's always like, it looks like a accidental double exposure. However, they've always been very firm on the fact that I believe that there were something like 9 or 10 shots of the grave taken that day of different angles, and this one was in the middle of that selection. So if you're going to get a double exposure, it would most likely be on the first one, right? Because there would have been a previous, photo maybe started to take in beforehand or doubled over. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure how that works.
Hey, Shaw.
Tell us, Ian, how does that that double exposure work? Could it happen in the middle of a roll? I don't know. Creepy nonetheless. Baby looks pretty happy to be there.
The baby does look happy to be there, which is kind of wild. But yeah, and they thought maybe it was, if it was a ghost, there were some infant graves nearby that they thought maybe it was where it was coming from. It was just coming on over to say, hey.
Maybe. I mean, we know that happens. We're going to show you a photo later or on the next show that kind of shows one that followed us around a cemetery. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's very
not
true.
nearly as detailed as this one, but one nonetheless.
I like how some of the suggestions on the naysayers on this particular one, they thought one of them is that it could have been a living child that wandered into the frame unnoticed. No, you can see through it. And another one was it was a reflection or pareidolia created by shadows and foliage. No, that's not pareidolia.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ian said it's probably a deliberate long exposure. Maybe so.
Maybe. The other thing that's always weirded me out a little bit, and tell me if I'm wrong here. Everybody, take a really good hard look at this. I hope I blew it up enough for you on the second photo. So it kind of weirds me out. If you look down at the baby's right arm, it's right. Our left. It's
the one closest to the head.
Wrist. The wrist and like the cuff for the dress it's wearing is really big compared to the rest of the baby. And I always wondered if maybe that was the arm of a mother or something around her baby holding it up, and that they cropped out the mom and used it for the, like a second glass, or so like a double exposure.
Maybe so. Actually, I wasn't looking that close. I thought that was just the baby's leg hanging out from under a dress, but you're right. That is not a leg.
Yeah,
and its leg starts at its shoulder.
Yeah, and the cuff is too big, and it looks like a wrist that is way too big for that baby.
They perked up the Photoshop.
Nice shot. It perked it up.
Perked it up.
Funny.
Yeah. So I that gives even more credence to it probably being a double exposure there.
Yeah. Still, it kind of weirds me out, like, what did this woman have to gain from faking that? Mm-hmm. She didn't get any notoriety off of it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just so many questions. So many questions.
Actually, could have been it looks like maybe the child was standing up and they were down with their arm around him, holding him up.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe, they were sitting on their lap, but they managed to cut the rest of the parent out, or who knows.
Interesting.
Yeah. Weird.
Yes. This is a famous one.
Yes. Yet another in the top 10, the Bachelor's Grove Ghost. However, this one has been proven to be real. It wasn't taken all that long ago. It was taken back in, well, actually, it kind of was, 1991. That makes me feel old that that's a long time ago.
I know.
So this was actually taken by the Ghost Research Society. It was an investigative group that was actually in Bachelor's Grove. This was taken with infrared film, of course. That's why it's at nighttime, but you're seeing this. So she was not visible to the naked eye. It was very dark when they took this photo, but the moon was out. You're getting to see kind of a fairly bright photo for an infrared taken at night. This is the most famous white lady of Bachelor's Grove, supposedly. It's the only time she's ever been photographed in this particular spot. She's been photographed in other parts of the cemetery and around in the wooded area. None of the photos were that good to really kind of bring on here because they're all kind of like there's something smudgy off in the distance. Maybe. Yeah. But this one here is just spectacular. The thing I really like about it is if you really zoom in on it. So don't try to zoom in on this one. Go and find the best copy that you can find on the internet. Get it blown up and really look at it. And you can really start seeing her details and or the lack of. It's so interesting. If you go and you look at her face, you can see how well defined the tip of her nose is and the tip of her chin is. But then her eyes just kind of go away. Mm-hmm. They kind of go back into the head a little bit. It's hard to see here, but they do. Her hair, you can see the waves in it where it looks like maybe she's just taken it out of a plait or a braid. So it's kind of got that wave to it a little bit. And you can see the shine coming off of her hair. And then the hair just kind of disappears in places. Now, this is not something you could easily do with such a far away shot. In fact, the picture was taken even further away than you see on the first photo to your left.
The left photo's blown up, and then the right one's even more.
Even more. Yeah. Her feet are super interesting. Her feet are well defined until you get right to her toes, and her toes actually just kind of become a part of the grass. Instead of just being in the grass or sitting above the grass, they just kind of become grass. It's just a super interesting photo. I would like to think that it is completely real because that's awesome.
Enzo's asking, is that a purse in front of her legs? It looks like a bag of some kind, doesn't it? Honestly, because it looks like rivets or something, or maybe purse where the handles are. I have never noticed that before. That's interesting.
It might actually be the other side of the bench that she's sitting on, because she's kind of see-through in places, too. It may look like it's kind of sitting in front of her when her legs have just, and the bench have all kind of conglomerated mess.
Because there is, I can't remember what is there when she's not there. I know there's that bench, but there may be something right in front of that bench. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Really cool one, though.
Yeah, it is. That's another classic one.
Yeah.
And her clothes, something that really makes her stand out in this, too, is her clothes look kind of old-fashioned-y. You know, they look like more early 1900s. And the way
she's got those, like,
are folded in her lap. And
yeah, she's got, like, the puffed three-quarter sleeves.
Yeah.
And the high waist pulled in with, like, a belt, maybe, or something. But, yeah. Really kind of old-fashioned. And if you look at her feet, it looks like she's almost maybe got a pair of shoes on that had some kind of a strap with a buckle.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting.
There's Sylvain. Hi, Sylvain.
Hi, Sylvain.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
It is.
Okay, now this one I had to stick in there because I love it. This is Little Joe. And if you look, Little Joe is the kitty right in the very center. You can kind of see through him a little bit. There's a very cool story that goes along with him. There was a lady named Anita, and they're from Oregon. And she was in with the Feral Cat Haven of Oregon. And her and her husband spent nearly 20 years caring for feral cats. And if you know feral cats, normally you can't even touch them or get close to them. But they loved these cats, and they set up their whole backyard as a sanctuary with shelters and feeding stations and stuff. And they brought in this kitty named Little Joe, and he's the little white and gray. He's got a pink nose, And this cat didn't act feral. He loved to like fetch acorns and things and bring to him. And he was nicknamed the mayor because he was the one that would welcome any new cats. You know, he'd be like, "Hey, come on in. You know, here's the food. They have places for us to sleep. Isn't this place great?" Kind of thing. You know, um, very sweet cat. But sadly, he was hit by a car and killed. And with at in her grief, Anita realized that they didn't have any photos of him, and so she took a roll of film, and she took her camera and all the rest of the film on it. She used up taking pictures of all the cats that they had at their home at the time, and that's something that she continued to do the rest of the time that they kept cats. But when these photos were developed, she saw this image of little Joe sitting right in the middle. He appeared to be behind the food dish. He's got a couple of other cats that were his friends sitting beside him. And his body is there, but as you can see, you can kind of see the house behind him through his head and stuff. Um, but it's obviously recognizable as a cat. So what they did, she sent this photo to Kodak because this was put in a book. Let me grab the book because I forgot the author's name already. It's Leslie Rule. It's actually Anne Rule's daughter that writes true crime stuff. Um, this is Haunted in America. This came out of this book. And when Leslie had asked her for a copy of the picture, she said she thought that maybe Anita misunderstood her and was like, I don't have the negative. I'll send it to Kodak and have them make a new negative for you. And so she does this, and Kodak gets a hold of her. One of the employees calls and they're confused, and there was like, "Hey, this picture's wild. There's a cat in the center, but he's transparent. He looks kind of like a ghost." And Anita was like, "Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking you to make the negative." So yeah, I thought that was a really sweet one. This may be the only animal picture that we added tonight. I know we have some other ones though, but
We have tons. If
we
you go
do.
back to the first season, we did a two-parter on ghost animals.
We did.
Lots of photos there if you want to.
Sorry.
That two-parter was both hilarious and a tearjerker because
It
there were so many like horror like pet stories where they had, like died untimely deaths, but there was also funny ones like headless chickens. And if you haven't seen that one yet, go back to the first season and watch that two-parter. It's
Pet specters. I think
hilarious.
what we called it, pet specters.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's a good one. I ran across this and I thought it was super sweet. He's cute. I'm a sucker for kitty cats, so yeah, that's little Joe.
Little
Um,
Joe.
but these. I don't know what it is about animals, or actually, I do know what it is about the animals. It's the emotional resonance. Those ghost stories that have pets involved, they hit a little different. But yeah, it's kind of cool. And this gave
Yeah.
comfort to Anita, which honestly, that's what it all really boils down to: is if people are grieving, and this is kind of a balm to their heart, broken heart kind of thing. So, kind of
Yeah.
cool. And I think we have all at one time or another, at least Jess and I both have experienced pets coming back.
Yeah.
You've experienced one of my pets coming back a few
Yes,
times.
I have. A number of times, yes.
Yeah, pretty wild. Alrighty, next one. This is a
All
classic
right.
here.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Maybe not the top 10, but pretty big
It's up
there.
there.
Yes. This one also has kind of faced scrutiny and made it out alive. So you be the judge here. This is called The Ghost of Boot Hill Cemetery. It was actually taken by Terry Ike Clanton. And if that name rings a bell, it should. He's an actor and recording artist, but he's also a distant relative of the famous Clanton gang, the one and only gang who got into the shootout fight at OK Corral with Wyatt Earp and the boys. So he, of course, is a huge fan of the Old West. He spent some time out at Boot Hill Cemetery and had some friends with him. They got dressed up and were taking turns taking photos of each other, two friends. Like posing with their guns and stuff in front of the famous cemetery. And all of the photos came out fine except for this one right here. And I did a really close blow up for you to see because I want to tell you now, the actual picture is much bigger than this one. In the actual picture, he's not standing off to the side as if to give this thing behind him space. There's a lot of room on the other side where you can see more of the cemetery. I didn't want you guys thinking that, this was purposely posed. So, this thing popped up behind them. And the weird thing about this kind of half a man, if you really look, is popping up out of the ground. He's waist level with the dirt.
He is,
and
which
there's
is
no
really odd.
yeah, there's no open graves or anything like that. And I think it's just hilarious that he's just kind of hanging back there, like do. Don't mind me hanging out waist deep in the dirt.
He's in period clothes too, for at least the 1880s. Yeah, he's got the wide brimmed hat on and everything, and he looks solid though. He doesn't look transparent at all. But there's no legs visible, like you said. He's it's only like his torso and above that's showing above ground, which is really odd.
Yeah. So a little bit more to the story. Of course, they find this in the photo. They go back because, of course, at the time that this was taken, it wasn't done on a camera, like a phone camera. They didn't have that yet. It had to be developed, and they actually went back when they could and tried to figure out by, looking where this dude had popped up at, and they kind of got the general area and went back to look at it. And unfortunately, Boot Hill Cemetery, although it's taken care of now because it's, a tourist site, especially since, like Tombstone and all of that came out, the movie.
Yeah.
There was no headstone or anything there to mark whose grave that might have been, or graves in that general area. Most of the time at these old cemeteries in the Old West, all they had was wood crosses and stuff, and those would get eaten away and fall apart.
Yep.
Occasionally you could get a stone with a little bit of an etching on it, but a lot of times not even that was put forward unless you had, like a lot of family who stayed in the area. And that wasn't something that often happened in these Old West cow towns. You came and you went. So
yeah,
they had no way to tell who this might have been if it was in fact real. And I can't imagine that somebody could have walked in on their shot and them not see it. If you look at the wide open distance behind him, Boot Hill is literally a hill. And you can see quite a ways out. So I'm pretty sure they would have seen somebody walk in. Not to mention the fact I'm not sure how he would have posed this.
The only thing that I ever thought might be a possibility with this particular one was someone had a skeptic, and I don't recall who it was, had thought that maybe it was a mannequin, just the torso of a mannequin that was set down in there. I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of, but at the same time, I don't know. It doesn't really.
It seems like a weird thing to set up. I've always said this before. Like, if you think of it, if you come at it like, I want to fake a ghost photo, I want to be famous, I'm going to set something up that's going to look real. In your mind's eye, would you ever think, I know I'm going to get a half a mannequin, or take the legs off of a mannequin and set him down in the grass? That'll look cool. And then take this photo.
And I could be wrong. Let me double check. But
I don't know.
Isn't this... Well, maybe it isn't. Okay, this isn't the one. Because in my notes I had legless appearance is often cited as a hallmark of partial apparitions. I was thinking that this was a hallmark of a apparition seen in this particular cemetery, but I don't believe it is. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think this is the only time this has been seen. I know that Boot Hill gets wispies they see in pictures sometimes, and occasional lights that are seen by the naked eye. I don't know if that's ever been caught in a photo.
Yeah. You're right, Enzo. Half a mannequin does seem like a stretch. I want to know how many times I've said mannequin tonight. I've said it to the point where it doesn't sound like a real word anymore, so I know I've said it quite a bit.
Oh, no.
That's funny.
All right.
But it's an interesting one for sure.
It sure is.
It's made its rounds, and so is this one. This is a
Oh yeah, this one's really famous. I had to throw it in there. Plus, it's in a car. You don't see a whole lot of them in the cars. So this is the
yeah.
Chinnery backseat driver ghost. This one was taken in Ipswich, Suffolk, taken by Mabel Chinnery, March 22nd, 1959. So they were actually out at their local cemetery. Her mother had just passed not too long before this photo was taken, and she wanted to go out and visit the grave. Her husband, meanwhile, I think was a little tired of it all and was like, I'm going to stay in the car. She had, yeah, she had literally,
She's gone. It's a mother-in-law.
yeah, I'm done with this. I had enough of her in life.
He is
I
smiling.
think,
Look at him.
yeah. Well, she had literally just that day gotten a brand new Eastman Kodak Brownie and took it out with her so she could take photos of her mom's beautiful new headstone. And she turned around on her way back and took a few shots. I think it said six shots of her husband as she walked back to him. And you see, he's smiling here. He's probably like, hurry up and take the picture, crazy lady. When they sent it off to be developed, took a while. So, back then everything was done by hand, so everything had to be hand developed. It finally got back to her, and in the middle of the shots, she sees this, and I've blown it up for you here so you can kind of see what's behind him. To her shock, she said it was an incredibly familiar face. She swore up and down it was the face of her mother, Mrs. Himmel. And this is a picture of her down at the furthest corner here on the right. Not the prettiest woman, if you ask me. The original photo that I cut her face from is a full-length photo. She was a manly woman.
Oh, wait till you see the family picture that I have coming up.
Okay.
You know the one I'm talking about. My great grandma.
Yeah. So the thing on this one has always been up in the air too. A lot of people said it was fake. I can't imagine Mabel would know how to fake this kind of stuff. And it's been scrutinized, and a lot of people today think that it's simply like a pareidolia thing happening, that it's just shadow play in the back seat and our brains want to make a person out of it. However, if you look at that closer up picture, I can't imagine how that one is pareidolia.
Me either. I mean, it looks like light reflecting off of a pair of glasses. You see the big nose, you see the lips, you see the chin.
There's a full mouth and face, and I mean, everything's there. And you can even see a collar and maybe a jacket or something, or a sweater setting over the top of it.
You're right, Julie. They are.
That is. I saw a few pictures of her, and every one of them she was extraordinarily happy, just like in this one. So I'm sure she was a wonderful lady.
Yeah. Shaw said that's too detailed. The person looks like they're wearing glasses. Yeah. And, they're not just like, how would you even, I don't even know how that would be done. I don't know. Ian, do you have any suggestions of how that could be done, how that could be faked?
I don't know. I do know this, however. It was most likely her, and she was sitting in there probably taunting the husband who refused to go out and visit her grave. She was like, I was mean to you in life, and I'm going to follow you in death.
You think he would have been smiling like that if he knew she was back there?
No, and I bet he wasn't smiling after he saw this photo after it was developed. He was probably like, shit. The old bat's still following me.
Enzo said, I would believe someone unnoticed in the back seat over weird lighting. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It is. I love the subtitle. Smiling at the wheel as his picture is being taken, Chinnery seems unaware of the spectral backseat driver. Ooh.
Yeah.
Hilarious. This is another one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Another huge one you'll see in the top 10s. The Queen's House Ghost. So this one was actually taken in 1966. Mm-hmm. This is in Greenwich. It was taken
No,
by.
sorry. Ian just put his. I asked him about that other one. He said
Okay,
suspect
go ahead.
picture was taken while they were alive. Camera went back into a drawer for 6 months. Then, they had it developed. Maybe so.
I don't know.
Enzo said, "How depressing to find out he's still getting grief from beyond the grave."
She's probably sitting back there saying, "Get your butt out of this car, turkey, and go visit me."
That's what Shaw says. It's like she's saying, "You're a horrible son-in-law."
Mm-hmm. I told her not to marry you.
I mean, flick you in the ear.
Yep.
Didn't Jess say she had just gotten the camera?
She did. Well, I mean, that's her claim that she'd literally gotten the camera that day and had taken it out to the gravesite with her because her mother's stone was finally put out. And but she could just have said that if she wanted to fake it. I suppose she could have pulled the older photo.
She could have, yeah.
But I can't imagine why little Mabel would wanna. I mean, she was nobody.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
So
Okay.
on to the Queen's House Ghost. It's also
Yes.
known as Tulip Staircase, which is how I knew it. This was actually in that book that I got when I was a kid too. This was another one of the.
Oh yeah, it's one of the big ones. It's one of the big like top 10 or 15s that you'll see. This one was taken by Reverend R.W. Hardy, who was actually visiting this home with his wife. You could go through it and take photos. The photo, of course, was, like Pam said, of the famous tulip stairs and was unoccupied and actually roped off from the tourists at the time that this photo was taken, so they can definitely say that there was no one in the shot. When developed, the photo contained two robed figures clutching the railing. Now, this has always been kind of a point of contention. I think the hilarious thing about this is the fight isn't so much as is it really a ghost, but is there one or two?
I'm pretty sure nobody's arm is quite that long.
Right? So I showed you, like on this little second photo here to your right, you can of course see the main one that it's the first thing you really lay eyes on when you look at this photo. Your eyes go right to this like robed white figure that's kind of laid over the banister, like like it's weeping
Yes,
or
right
moaning.
there.
But just to the other side of it is what looks like another hand on the railing, and it doesn't really make sense for it to be the hand of the wailing thing laying across it. It's so far away. However, if you look behind that hand, you start seeing what looks like shoulders and maybe a chin before the light kind of blows out.
Yeah, right there. You see the shoulder there. It almost looks like Nosferatu, honestly.
Yeah, some people call this the mourner and the angel. So if you look at the one in the middle, the one that looks like it's standing up with the big hand, if you look at it from the shoulders, it almost looks like wings coming out from it. And then above where like the head blows out, you see 3 dots, and they claim that's almost like a halo.
I thought that was a chandelier. Is that not?
I think it's the chandelier. It's hard to tell. The way that the photo blows out, it's really kind of, I don't know. But that's what a lot of people think that that's like some sort of an angel type of situation. It looks very angelic because of the wings and things. What it is, I have no idea.
Ian said this picture scared the hell out of me as a kid. I can see why. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Looks like a polar bear with 3 eyes.
It
looks like
does.
an ood. If you're a doctor,
Oh, man.
it looks like an ood.
Now that's all I'm going to see every time I see this photo. Thanks,
Polar
Ian.
bear.
The haunted polar bear with 3 eyes.
It is. This is a really good one though. And something else that is interesting about it is the staircase is blocked off, but the apparitions in this are on the opposite side of the staircase where there are no stairs.
Yeah.
So they're kind of, it's like they're pulling themselves through the air up it or something.
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 It's crazy.
Yeah. I like that. Something.
Something.
You're doing something. Okay, so I added this one in here. This is actually from the Whaley House in California, and it's it's referred to as the infrared apparition. And the Whaley House, if you're not familiar with it, it's extremely haunted. At one time, it was a courthouse. It was a family home. There was the tree that criminals were convicted were hung from the tree in the front yard. So had a pretty violent history. Had a tragic family history too. Violet Whaley, one of the daughters, had I can't remember what happened to her, but she passed away there. Um, this photo, this was also included in the Haunted in America book by Leslie Rule. And this photo was taken by Joe Jones, and it shows a very faint figure emerging from behind a column. And I added the original picture here. So when he took the photo, you can see a man that's working back here or looking in the window back there. But when Joe started looking at the photo itself, he realized that there was a woman here. And this is kind of grainy because it did come out of a book. I couldn't find this photo online anywhere. But they did pull in closer on the picture, and it looks like a woman in period clothes peeking out from behind that column right there. And then they added this photo in over here just as a reference of what period clothes would look like. That would be from like Violet's time. I don't think they're not necessarily saying it's Violet herself, but that it does appear to be a woman in period clothes. You can really see, it does look like, it does appear to be a hand. You can see a foot. You can see the dress. You can see a hat, what could be a hat up there. And the puffy sleeve is the big one on that.
Yeah, super interesting.
It is. It is. So, and this was infrared. So is it some type of heat anomaly? What would have given off a heat signature like that? And would an apparition give off a heat signature would be another good question to ask. So, is this genuine pareidolia, or is it just, pattern recognition, or is it actual? What do you guys think in the chat?
Know.
It's something.
I mean, it's the Whaley House. The Whaley House is known for its, ghost photos, all sorts of anomalies popping up in it. So I would actually lean more towards it being something than nothing. Just for the track record of the house.
It is famously haunted.
Yeah. If you get a second, go back to the tulip stairs, because Enzo says he still can't pick out the red circle thing in the upper left.
Oh, okay. So here's the hand. And if you look at this dark, you can kind of see the shoulder. And then the head's blown out right in here. Am I right?
No. So
see, I'm wrong too.
the big hand you're seeing, imagine that is its right hand. Left for us, right for him. If that nub that you see straight up, the black nub that's sticking up, that is supposed to be like a chin, and then the face blows out in white light. So on either side of that nub is two shoulders, and then supposedly just past that is the two wings kind of poking up and out.
Oh yeah, I don't see that at all.
Well, that's okay, because In came back with this. He said, it's a polar bear with 3 eyes, Enzo. Duh.
Enzo said, Pam's misleading me. I'm so sorry. I've always thought this was the hand that was attached to this shoulder, and that the head.
Well, I think that's because you want it to lay over like the other figure is.
Maybe
but they're saying that it's not. That it's not two figures laying over the banister.
I'm not getting
that one of them standing up
though, at all. That looks like.
Well, they're saying that the chin is up, but then the face got blown out from the light. So you're just seeing the chin, and then the rest of the face kind of disappears, is what they were saying.
Still not seeing it.
But see, like, that right there, that's why people are still, like, under heavy discussion. Is this even 2 ghosts, or is it 1? I think it's hilarious that it wasn't even a question, are these ghosts at all? It was, is there 1 or 2?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
All right.
That looks like a portion, and I know there's not a staircase over there, but it looks like it would be at a, something.
Yeah. Well, like you said, if that's a chandelier back there, it might very well be a part of the chandelier or something.
The center of the chandelier, yeah, could be. Especially if it's like a standing one,
Mm-hmm.
And it just tears out like that.
Yep. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Ooh. All right. I'm
Okay,
sorry, I didn't mean to
so
yawn.
no, I'm terrible to yawn. You guys know this. I don't know what it is about sitting behind the computer and being on a podcast, but you will never see a podcast that I don't yawn at least once. I can promise you that. Doesn't matter which podcast I'm doing.
Yeah.
Shaw said, like right below the three eyes or chandelier, the fingers look like they're wrapping around the railing with a thumb. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
does. It does. It clearly looks like a hand right there. Yeah, and there's the
Yeah.
thumb.
Yep. Who knows? I don't know.
It's
I don't
interesting.
know. Maybe one of these days we'll do a deeper dive on it. Maybe we can find some actual pictures of the rose staircase from that angle and see if we can't make some comparisons. I know, Ian. Thank you very much.
What's
You've
up?
ruined the tulip staircase for
Oh my
me.
God, I lost his name. Atreyu. Oh, what's the flying doggy thing?
Oh, Falcor.
Falcor. It's Falcor. Right. Yeah, that's gonna be stuck in my head.
All right, moving along. Oh
Okay,
my lord.
let's go to the next one.
Okay. Yet another extraordinarily famous one. If you haven't seen this one, where have you been? Under a rock? I don't know. This is, of course, the Freddie Jackson picture. It was taken in 1919. It was, of course, a group photo of the Goddard Squadron who served in World War One. When developed, it showed a second face hidden behind one of the squadron members, and I gave you a big blow up right there so you could really see that face back there. It's kind of creepy. The squadron members actually instantly recognized him as air mechanic Freddie Jackson, who had just recently passed. His funeral was held either the day of or the day before this photo was taken. Stories, it's either the day of or the day before, but he just suddenly popped up in it. Another interesting thing is that this photo wasn't actually seen until a number of years after it was originally taken. It actually sat in a studio for a while before it finally got developed. Years later. Yeah, a number of years later. And it got developed, and then finally the photo started kind of going out to some of the members who could get a hold of it, and they were like, what is that? That's Freddie. Kind of cool.
That's crazy. Yeah, because did you see how he died? It's really, really bad. He walked into a spinning propeller.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
Well,
And
his face is looking pretty good for walking
yeah,
into a propeller.
I think it's terrific. Could be why there's, yeah, not a lot of him left. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Shaw says it looks like Steve Buscemi.
A little bit. A little bit. I can see that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. You guys are funny.
Yeah, but he does. He looks very calm in the picture. He looks like, he's just wondering what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah. Cool photo.
Some people think it's a double exposure. Doesn't appear to be one.
Mm-mm.
Or that it
No,
might
it's not the same guy. I mean,
No.
even if it was a double exposure, like if that dude had moved or something like that, the other guy's not wearing a hat.
I was trying not to go there, Enzo, but you're completely right. Walked into the spinning propeller. It is only part of his face.
That's
Ooh.
true. The other half might be not there. Ew, let's not think about that.
Yeah. And this one really endures though, because there's it's the well-defined photo. It's a classic example of spirits that want to linger with its comrades, and this one is one of the earliest and most famous accidental ghost photos that's tied to an actual documented death. I think it makes it really interesting. Yeah, I agree, Enzo. He said it's really clear and not the same person on the left. Yep.
Yeah. It's not even the same nose.
Mm-mm. And he doesn't have
Interesting. This is yet another one that always popped up in all the books when we were little. So.
Yep. It did. It's a good one.
Okay. The Wim Town Hall Ghost. Yet another of the big top 10, top 15. If you haven't seen this one, Crawl out under from your rock and get with it, people. Oh my goodness. This one scared me when I was little.
Yeah.
The story behind it is...
The story's creepy.
The story behind it is very scary. I think the story behind it's almost scarier than the actual little ghost itself. So this was taken by Tony O'Reilly, I think his name is, during the Great Fire of the Wim Town Hall in Shropshire, in England. He used a telephoto lens while positioned across the street. No children were present while the hall burned to the ground. The image of the little girl is thought to be of Jane Churn, a 14-year-old girl who caused and died in the 1677 fire that swept through Wim after she had been careless with a candle.
And did you say the year that this one was taken? If you did, I missed it. It's 1995, so it really wasn't that long ago.
All I know, it was around when I was really starting to seriously study ghosts. Mm-hmm. And it just creeped me the hell out. So, this place was not haunted. This place wasn't known for its ghosts and stuff like this. And then suddenly it catches fire. It's just amassed in flames. It is burning down. And this dude's just taking photos across the way, you know, getting pictures of the fire, and she pops up. And then, you know, come to find out that back in the 1600s, this little girl had been the cause of the fire in the exact same spot. It's almost as if the flames, like, resurrected her for one night or something.
Yeah, brought her back.
Creepy.
She does. She looks solid, and she's wearing old-fashioned clothing. She looks like she's got a bonnet on. You know, she's a dress and a bonnet. And she doesn't really appear to be scared of the fire at all or affected by it. And he took this photo, you know, with the telephoto lens, because obviously you couldn't get close because the building was engulfed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a cool one.
I'm not sure what this has to do with this, but In says he used to work with a guy from Wim. Absolute tool. Maybe it's just those Wim people, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. That's hilarious. But yeah, the little girl, her name was Jane Churn. So yeah. And it had been...
Crazy photo.
Her spirit itself has been part of folklore for centuries, but not tied to this particular building.
Yeah.
So it's pretty...
So interesting.
Pretty interesting. And yeah, it was published widely in the newspapers, and it's been in a lot of paranormal books. And he was an amateur photographer, no history of hoaxes, and none since then either. So it's pretty interesting.
Very cool.
Yes. Okay. Do you think we can get through a few more of these before we...
Oh, yeah. We got time before notebook games. We can do some more.
Cool.
Because the next one's really cool. If you don't know this one, oh my goodness.
It is.
Another big one. So, the ghost of S.S. Waterton, taken in December of 1924. So, this was taken by Captain Keith Tracy, thought to be the ghost faces of crew members James Courtney and Michael Meehan, who died of gas fumes while cleaning a cargo tank of the S.S. Waterton, as it sailed towards the Panama Canal from New York City. Words are hard.
They are.
The men were buried at sea off the Mexican coast on December 4th, 1924. That was quite usual back then for them to bury them at sea right there. Over the next week, members of the crew reported seeing their faces in the water surrounding the boat. Captain Keith Tracy reported the incidents to his employers, the City Service Company, who suggested he try to photograph them. He purchased a camera, and on the next voyage out, he took 6 photos and locked the camera in the boat's safe until it could be developed. The first 5 showed nothing, but the 6th showed these 2 faces. And this one, of course, has been under great scrutiny, too. There's a good portion of people that said it was absolutely faked, although I'm not quite sure how you fake it.
I'm not sure how you would either. And multiple crew members claim to have witnessed the same phenomena at different times.
Yes. For like, I think they were out for a number of days before they even made shore. Yeah. And they were seeing it all the time, day and night, at different sections, you know. out in the water off of different parts of the boat, as if, you know, these two were like traveling along with it, like trying to keep up or something. Creepy.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one. Ginger said, I must have spent a lot of time under a rock because I'm not familiar with a bunch of these. Well, yay. I'm glad that you're seeing a bunch that you weren't familiar with.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll come out from under your rock.
Warm out in the sunshine.
Yeah.
I like this one. This one's cool.
This one is very cool. It's also, if I didn't know the story behind it, I would just say they positioned some dude up there dressed like Monet and took a photo.
Yeah.
However, this photo was taken by the museum's director of architecture. The museum here, it's the Cleveland Museum of Art. They were doing a full exhibition of Monet stuff. And down below, I kind of wrote over the top of it, you can kind of see like the opening section of it. They've got like a big banner with Monet and kind of his history. And there's a little table down there with some people around it. They were getting ready for like the opening for the night. They were probably getting drinks out and the bar ready, like art museums do. And this dude was going around taking big shots and smaller shots of the opening area so they could, you know, have them for their records and to, you know, for advertising. And this dude just popped up right in it. If you actually take a look down below him, you'll see the big banner that they've hung with a full-size picture of Monet. It's as if somebody like took that figure and then superimposed it up on the stairway above. It's really neat to see him almost like looking down on his own.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Exhibition. It is interesting. So he's not. I don't see where he's really kind of see-through. You kind of see a panel of glass that's in front of him that I think is part of that railing.
Yeah.
Maybe. But his face doesn't have any details to it.
No, it doesn't. It's very blank canvas kind of thing. And you would think that you would at least be able to catch a few features.
Yeah. I wonder if the Cleveland Museum of Art, like, you know, saved this photo and like displayed it with any of the Monets that they might have.
I don't know. That
in
would be
their
so
collection.
Cool.
It would be cool. I would be like, check out what we got.
That would just be a whole new set of people that you would have to come in to look at stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
the staff did say that that figure was not noticed in person at the time at all. So they didn't see someone dressed like this in the crowd, or no one noticed him at all.
Yeah.
But
I can't imagine the guy photographing it would have missed him.
Yeah. The resemblance to Monet himself, it's pretty uncanny. It's pretty cool.
The beard alone. I mean, they would have noticed if a man had been walking around the museum at that time with a full-on beard like that. Holy cow.
And so it looks like the fellow from ZZ Top. Kind of does.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Monet was annoyed at the ladder in the middle of his art. Maybe so. Yeah, there is a ladder there, huh? Too funny. Okay.
Do another one. Okay. This one is creepy. Not as famous as the other ones, and this one's kind of newer. This one came out in 2014. It was taken in Queensland, Australia. Taken by Kim Davidson, who was actually visiting the lake with a friend and their children, who you can see in the photo here. The photo showed an extra child who was not present or known to anyone who was taking the photo, believed to be the ghost of Doreen O'Sullivan, a girl who drowned in the lake in 1913. You can see the little arrow there. That little girl or boy or whoever that is was not there in that photo.
Yeah, and yeah, that's wild because you can see there's this child right here that's arms is out towards the older person with the sunglasses on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they're just completely ignoring this little child here.
Yep.
Pretty wild. Yeah, that's creepy.
Wild stuff. Yeah.
Ooh.
And this is one of our first ones that was taken on an actual cell phone.
Yeah. Man, that's wild. This one's wild too, though.
Yeah, this one's crazy.
This looks like Chucky running through.
So this was taken February 20th, 2016, taken by Louise Murphy while at Riverside Museum in Glasgow. Captured while taking her son around the museum. It's rumored to be the ghost of a young washer girl who died in the Victorian pub, which used to stand on that very property. This was taken with a Samsung Galaxy S5 phone. In case anybody wants to know, I put it down, just as a little side note. The Louise said that it literally was just her son and her there that day. The museum was pretty empty. There was a worker there that was kind of showing them around and running the museum. But she was literally just kind of taking photos here and there. And this was not her son. She was like, my son doesn't wear a flowery, moo type dress.
Yeah, it almost looks like a onesie.
Yeah.
Like a zip up onesie. And Julie said that just looks messed up, not a ghost. It is weird.
It is very weird.
It's like looks like maybe it stuck its finger in a light socket or something. If you look at
Something.
Oh, you know what? It looks like one of the wigs that in England that they wear in court.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they're called.
Like the Parliament wigs?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's got it almost looks like the curls, running down.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
Did we
it looks like a doll. It kind of does.
It does look like a doll, yeah.
Now that you said that. You know what? That's probably what that is. See how the hand's up?
Mm-hmm.
With it bent back like that?
I don't know.
I think you're onto something, Ginger. Yeah, Julie said powdered wigs. Yeah. It could be.
Can you go back one? I think we missed one.
Did we?
Ah.
What one are you thinking of?
There should have been one of there with the kids at the party, but maybe it came after. It might just be out of order.
There it is.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, this one creeps me out. This is a newer one too. I don't have an exact date for it or even the original person that took the picture because this one just got thrown right up onto social media and just took off. So who the original is, I have no idea. If you happen to see this, let us know and we will give you your credits. I do know a little bit of the story behind it. So prior to the picture being taken, the little girl that you see at the bottom right, who's just in tears, had started crying because she said someone had pushed her out of the way. She had been originally standing in front of all the little girls, got shoved and started crying, and then they took the picture. And you may see why I blew up what you could see between those girls' knees.
That's freaky. It's almost like her double,
Yeah. Ginger says that's creepy and I don't blame the little girl for crying. Yeah, I'd cry too.
Insa said that. God, that is just... It is. That's so weird.
Yeah. Super creepy.
It is. I don't like that one. Yeah, when you come up, especially when you get the creepy pictures of the little kids. Not a fan.
Kids are always creepy. Kids are always creepy. Yeah. I thought this one was really interesting, and this one is not old at all. This one was taken in 2024. It was a contributor called Timber2077. I found it on one of the Board Panda sites where people could download their own photos and stuff. If you want really good examples of newer ghost photos, go check out this series on Board Panda. They have huge rolls where you can just go and, put your own ghost photos up. People pick them apart. They're like, oh, no, it was obviously this. But there are some really serious, legit ones. And this is one of the ones that I thought was super interesting. They were hiking. This dude and his family were hiking in the Bunya Mountains National Park in Queensland, Australia. He says it was actually wintertime there, so there wasn't hardly any other hiking groups at the time, not large ones like they usually have. He said there had been a couple other groups near them at the beginning part of the day, but those had kind of finished and gone off on their way, and it really was just him and his family. And he was just kind of taking photos of the area. Some of them had his family in it a little bit, but he was really trying to capture the trees and stuff. And didn't see this until he was going through his roll on his camera later, or on his phone, I should say, that he saw this weird thing popped up in the back, and he zoomed in, and this is what he saw.
That's creepy.
Just this woman standing out there, and he was like, there is no way that there was a woman out there dressed in a black, what may be a dress, it looks like, waist deep in brush, off the trail, and just staring at them. He was like, we would have seen her.
And she's black and white, too.
She's black and white.
That
So
very
weird.
one or the other.
Super weird.
Yeah, and the family insisted that there was absolutely no one there. They had just walked directly past that spot just moments earlier. And they didn't even notice it until they were reviewing pictures later, and one of the kids was like, who is this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got him looking at it.
Yeah. All right. I think we should leave the photos on that note, because we're coming up close to time if we want to play notebook games. Does everybody want to play notebook games?
Woo!
Yeah? Everybody start picking your numbers. And like I said, we'll continue this in 2 weeks. We have a few more of these photos to go through, and then we have a whole bunch of our personal photos. And Pam and I were discussing, we may do a whole section on kind of photography that include the controversial orbs.
Yeah.
The rods, bugs
Definitely
flying through.
Yeah.
Camera anomalies, light lens, lens glares, all the stuff that's a little bit janky. We may bring you some photos and kind of show you some comparisons, how to tell what is what, as at the best to our abilities. We're by no means, professional, like,
We'll throw our 2
photo
cents
people.
in, though.
We sure will, and we'll kind of show you what we think is real, what we think is not. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me grab my notebooks are over here.
Aha. Yeah. If you haven't thrown in your information on which notebooks you want, choose a notebook 1 through 5, and page number 1 through 100.
Yeah. So let's see here.
First one is Pam with notebook 3, page 27.
Got okay.
I remembered your name because it's easy for me. I'm bad at names. Unless they're like mine, then I'm okay.
Then she's okay.
Then I'm okay.
Okay, Pam's. Oh crap! I just lost some books.
Oh no!
It'll be okay. I got it, and we're good. Okay. This is a page on some time slips. Everybody loves time slips, right?
Yes.
Okay. There's 2 of them on here, so you get 2 time slips today. The first one is an excerpt from Time Storms, which was written by Jenny Randalls. If any of you know us, you know it's one of Pam and I's favorite books ever.
Yeah, it's great.
This is a 1973 account of a gentleman named Paul, no last name, 21 years old. At around 2 a.m., he was driving home from a dance, passing through the English Midlands village, Little Houghton, or Houghton. How do you pronounce that?
How's it spelled?
Houghton.
Houghton?
Houghton, maybe? Houghton? He had drunk very little, knowing he had a long drive home. Just after passing the church clock, he lost all sense of time, and presently found himself on foot at Bromham, many miles away. His car was gone. He was soaking wet, though it was not raining, and it was now 7 a.m. A friend helped him find his car, which was now in a muddy field near Turvey, about 15 minutes drive from Little Houghton. The gate into the field was locked, and there were no tire tracks in the mud. Strangely, another incident was reported by another man named Paul also, although his last name was Rainbow, in 1988, in the same town, which involved sudden motorcycle failure, a strange egg-shaped white glow in the next field, and that familiar descent into total silence. He also lost an hour and a half.
It's Houghton. It's how it's
Houghton.
pronounced.
Okay.
Enzo said Ian just got alcohol poisoning on that one.
Yeah. Sorry. My
More
bad.
important, depends on which bit of England.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
All right. So that's the first one. The second one on this one, because you get like a twofer on this one. This one happened. This is the Flackton, Arkansas incident. In the early 1920s, a boy and a girl living in Flackton, Arkansas, walked through their quiet town on a Sunday afternoon as everyone was at the baseball game. They took a shortcut to the game through a pine wood. Robbie and Anne presently came to a stream they had never seen before, and after crossing it, they were met with a completely unfamiliar countryside. Gone was the scrubby undergrowth and knobby pine trees, smelly dog fennel and Jimson weed, the chattering of sparrows and screaming of blue jays, all gone. Along with the strange silence, the pair also felt a kind of dreamy languor as they walked hand in hand. All the vegetation looked different, while ferns were dozens of times larger than the ones they usually saw in the bogs. On reaching a small rise, they saw the town Ball Diamond and all their friends off in the distance, but the sounds, noises, and voices from the game sounded tinny, disembodied, and far away. Anne and Robbie watched the game until it ended and then recrossed the unfamiliar stream. When they looked back, their dream world had vanished. Perfect time slip.
Yeah. Couldn't be better.
Ooh.
Okay, next one is Julie with Notebook 1, page 23.
Oh, easy.
Pam said, ooh, love time slips. Thank you. Yeah, they're so fascinating.
You can't go wrong with a time slip. It's just so creepy and cool at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're glad it's not happening to you. Although our team has experienced it a little bit. Not really a time slip, but I don't know what you would call it. A time forward? Lost time?
I ran across those pictures from that nursing home when I was looking for pictures for tonight. And I was just like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's super crazy. Weirds me out every time I see it.
Okay, this page, who is it, Julie?
Yep.
Yeah, Julie's page is on the Laredo, Texas UFO crash of 1948. So, nearly 1 year to the day after the Roswell UFO incident, Laredo experienced a similar occurrence. On the afternoon of July 7th, 1948, a silver disc-shaped object was sighted above Albuquerque, New Mexico, moving at about 2,000 miles per hour, they estimated. The object was tracked making a 90-degree turn before heading towards southwest Texas. At least 2 military aircraft were dispatched and chased the 90-foot diameter craft before witnessing it wobble and slow before crashing about 30 miles southwest of Laredo. The military was dispatched from Carswell Air Force Base to cordon off the crash site until a special retrieval team could arrive. When the debris was collected, the badly burned body of a non-human being was reportedly retrieved and transported to a San Antonio military base. Talk of the crash first came in the 1950s, with more details emerging in 1978. Ooh.
Cool, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, creepy.
Yes. Okay, the next one's Enzo, book 3, page 14.
Okay.
Sorry. Now I'm the one yawning.
Okay. This is the last. I think it's the last. Yeah, it's the last little portion of the list of TV movie predictions that we had been doing over on The Fringe. So we did a show where we found all of like the TV shows like The Simpsons and some other stuff that were famously known for actually predicting something that happened in the future. And this is just part of that listing. The first one I had is a show called Second Chance. It only aired for one season. It actually had Matthew Perry as its star. The show that I'm talking about is called The End. It aired September 26, 1987, season 1, episode 1. The first scene is with St. Peter at Heaven's Gate on July 29th, 2011. In line is Libyan revolutionary Colonel Gaddafi, who has multiple gunshot wounds to his chest, which, of course, we know is super close to reality because Gaddafi was killed by multiple gunshot wounds to the chest by militants on October 20th, 2011. So there's one. The next one on this page is from Family Guy. Meet the Quagmires, which aired season 5, episode 18, 2007. The Grim Reaper reveals that Supreme Court Justice Scalia had been accidentally killed during a hunting accident with Dick Cheney. And, of course, in 2016, Scalia died after a day of quail hunting in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's bad if you say Dick Cheney, though. A gun accident.
Yeah. The next one is a 9/11 one, The Simpsons. The City of New York versus Homer Simpson, which aired in 1997, includes an ad that says New York above a price tag of $9, the Twin Towers just behind it with an 11. So it literally had the Twin Towers with 9/11 written on it.
That's
and the last one on here is an episode of The Lone Gunman. It aired March 4th, 2001, episode 1, season 1. Characters were unraveling a plot to intentionally send a plane to fly into the World Trade Center just 6 months before the actual 9/11 happened.
I just had a brilliant idea, a brilliant thought. So, if we're living in a simulation and Matt Groening is able to come up with all these predictions, well before time, maybe he is one of the actual developers who has written himself into the storyline.
Ooh, maybe.
Maybe.
Or maybe he's a traveler and he's already been in a whole bunch of the lines that have already been through it.
Yeah, that could be it too.
I don't know.
It's pretty interesting to think about.
All right, I'm trying to get ends pulled up here.
Enzo said, I remember the Lone Gunman episode. Let me go back to Ian up here. Where's he at? Book 4, page 47.
Yeah, I got it pulled up. I'm on the ball today.
Yay.
Okay. It's at the back end of what? What am I looking at here? Oh, okay. It's the tail end of another story, but there's a main story on it. I'm just going to do the main thing that's on here. The Alien Skeleton of Charleston, Arkansas. Woo!
Nice.
Yeah. And this happened November 17th, 1991. So not all that long ago in the grand scheme of things. A man out bow hunting for deer came across strange remains of a creature under a tree and partially covered in leaves. He said, "It was the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen some strange things. It was pretty well decomposed when I first found it, but it still had flesh and hair attached. It was later estimated to have been dead between 5 to 6 weeks. It was long in the body like a deer or giant dog, but its legs and arms weren't like a normal animal's. Instead of paws or hooves, it had what looked like strange, malformed hands. It had sharp teeth, definitely not a cow or deer, but they were a peculiar shape that didn't resemble any animal I had ever seen. The skull was shorter in the muzzle, like an ape or a human. The most unusual feature was a ridge bone rising from its spine like a dorsal fin. The finder reported feeling nervous around it. The carcass was passed through several professors at West Arkansas University, Oklahoma Baptist University, and the University of Oklahoma, among others, all coming up empty. It was then taken to the Minnesota Dinosaur Museum to be examined. They concluded that it had been found less than 2 months after its death and that there was no room in the spine of the creature for a nervous system. Another odd detail was then added to the case. It was learned that about 2 weeks before the creature was found, the Land and Animal Survey from Fort Chaffee had conducted some massive search of the area. Area residents reported hundreds of helicopters flying low through the area over the course of one weekend. They were landing in people's yards and just off the side of the I-40 freeway and everywhere. The military base was called by local law enforcement but was given no answers. Many believed the creature to be extraterrestrial in nature. 1 month after the creature was recovered, a UFO was witnessed flying low over the outbuilding the creature was being stored in. The creature has since been examined by medical scientists and have concluded that it was a meat eater. It had 3 sets of teeth that would have worked like a chainsaw. It would have walked on 2 legs and had a neck that could swivel 180 degrees. It had 32 ribs, more than any known animal. The fin on its back would have been used like a reptile's to collect heat. However, it did have hair like a mammal does. It was also examined by Greg Fox, DNA specialist at San Diego. Tests determined its hair to be a metallic compound that contained aluminum, silicone, calcium, and copper. Strangely enough, when tested, the hair could withstand temperatures of 4,000 degrees and not disintegrate. It was offered to the UFO Museum in Roswell, but they declined. It's now in the Old West Museum outside Wichita Falls, Texas.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Ian said, I would not like to meet that creature. No joke. That is freaky. Could you imagine 3 rows of teeth like a chainsaw and it could swivel its head 180 degrees?
Yep, no thank you.
Ugh. Had a dorsal fin like a reptile, but it had hair. That's weird.
It is weird.
Now I want to see a picture.
I don't know if one exists. I would think that if one existed, I would have had a note to myself on it with access to the photo somewhere.
Yeah,
but there wasn't any
sure.
notes with it.
Huh.
Oh.
One more.
Okay,
We got Ginger,
one.
Notebook 5, page 98, please.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. Who picked that? Was that Ian? That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job, Ian. I don't think I've ever heard that one. Now I'm all fixated on it.
Okay. Oh. What is this? This is... Oh, okay. So this is the research that we did when we were trying to find all of like the kind of urban legends, but not all urban legends. We did it for one of the Bordertown Presents because people kept claiming that their Crybaby Bridge was only in their state.
Yeah.
And we found like, where is it?
In every town, in every state.
Of the ones that we could find, because there's obviously more than what we can find on the internet, because nearly every town has its own little legend.
At least every county does.
Yeah. In Kansas, we found 5 Crybaby Bridges. We found 34 in Oklahoma, 15 in Missouri, and 6 in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So we literally just did a whole night where we just showed the numbers, and this is part of that. So I'm just going to do the page that Ginger picked. On this page is hanging or haunted trees. So hanging trees or haunted trees. I think these are, let's see here. Medicine Lodge. Caney had the hanging tree. Bartlesville. Atchison's Molly's Hollow. Dodge City, Boot Hill. Baxter Springs. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Lawton. And Creek. Wellborn, Kansas. Douglas, Kansas. Spring River, Arkansas. Avila, Missouri. Ada, Oklahoma, Cordell, Oklahoma, Jefferson City, Oklahoma, Ripley, Oklahoma, Sugar Shack Road in Alton, Missouri, Campbell, Missouri, Excelsior Springs, Maryville, Missouri, Waynesville, Missouri, and Pigot's, Arkansas. And then also on this page is a listing of Dead Man's Curves. Park City, Kansas. Yeah, Park City, Kansas, Deering, Kansas, Copan, Oklahoma, Atricia, Kansas, Fort Scott, Kansas, Towanda, Kansas, St. Roberts, Missouri, Hutchinson, Kansas. There's 3 in Oklahoma City, Wichita, Missouri, Sayre, Oklahoma, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, El Reno, Oklahoma, Marion, Arkansas, Monticello, Arkansas, Mammoth Spring, Arkansas, Siloam Springs, Arkansas, Cowley Ridge Parkway, Arkansas, Russell, Old Highway 62, Rocky Point, all in Arkansas, Highway 44, Missouri, Brentwood, Missouri, Knob Noster, Missouri, Marysville, Cameron, Advance, Lindbergh, and St. Louis, all in Missouri.
I don't know.
And I think it continues on the next page. So we were literally just trying to get a huge listing.
Enzo said, I was trying to find a picture of that creature in the Old West Museum, and Google spit out a bunch of articles with Jim Gray and Geneseo. That's hilarious.
Yeah. This might very well be a really good idea for one of our shows. We may have to do this where we hit these kind of urban-y legend type of things and let you see how prevalent they really are. One of the reasons why we did it for our little town is because everyone was just so like, oh no, our Crybaby Bridge is the real one. And we had to tell them, we're like, we don't even have a Crybaby Bridge. That was a legend that got attached to it later on, just because the kids in town wanted a Crybaby Bridge. Same thing with our supposed hanging tree. That poor little tree, it's down now, so it's out of its misery. But it only took on that moniker in like the last 10 years.
It only took on that moniker after they made the roundabout down at the end of the river so that people could get down there to fish. Mm-hmm. And, they just made the roundabout around a single tree, and then it became the hanging tree at that point.
Yeah.
It never was before.
Yeah. That might be a good show for us later on, maybe in the coming seasons, just to kind of cover urban legends and their prevalence. I mean, so just to give you an idea before we're out of here, because I think that was the last one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to list all of them, but I'm going to tell you what we covered. We covered Crybaby Bridges, Haunted and Cursed Bridges, Haunted Highways and Roads, Dead Man's Curves, Gravity Hills, and Train Tracks, Witches' Graves, Haunted Cemeteries, Spook Lights, Hanging and Haunted Trees, Lover's Leaps, Lover's Rocks, and Lover's Hollows, Lady in White. They're everywhere too. And a couple more there. It's so prevalent because every little town has their own little legends, and they just kind of filter through and kind of take on their own little stories. So super interesting.
Yeah. And even like we had a monster bridge, but we had at least 2. Did we have 3 monster bridges at different times? Just depending on
different times.
Depending on which
bridge was more popular.
Depending on which generation you grew up in. The one that I grew up with is different than the one Jess grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. So funny. Anywho, okay. I should probably start thinking about getting us out of here really quick before I'm out. I found this thing on Facebook. I'm sure he's on other social media. Go and look it up. He is basically my version or his version of the Notebook games. His name is Matt McCarthy, and he runs something called the Video Garage. He collects old home taped VHSs from garage sales and stuff. He has a whole room full of them, and you can message him on his Facebook site. I'm sure he probably has some other social media, and you can choose a number and he will play whatever is on that VHS. I watched one just the other day, and it ended up being a Playboy movie. He didn't show it. He showed the beginning of it and then went, nope, and clicked it off. So, yeah, Matt McCarthy. Go look him up on Facebook and play the video game. It reminded me of Notebook games so much. It's super fun.
That's fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
All right, so let's take us out of there. Before everybody leaves, hang out for just a second. Everybody like, share, thumbs up, hit bells, and all of that fun stuff. If you're listening, give us a rating. And go back and listen to our past catalog. It's all completely free to you. Go check out all the funniness, especially the the animal ghost specters.
Yeah.
Because that's a good one.
It is.
Yeah. Anywho, I'm not going to go on too much more. Thank you for hanging out in the chats. We appreciate you all. Thank you for hanging out and playing the Notebook games. Catch us every 2 weeks live. The next one will be April 8th, and we'll do the second part of this and bring you some more spooky photos.
Yep.
And all that good jazz.
Fun.
So, yeah. All right. Keep it weird, keep it strange, and remember it's all connected. Good night.
Good night, everybody.